Hello everyone, it is Tuesday, it is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that means it's time for another episode of First Chapter Fun. So I think I'm live on Instagram. I see Robin, I see Hank, I see Reena, which is absolutely perfect. And Reena, you're going to love this story because the character has your name. I think I'm live on Facebook. I'm just going to do our little tech check and make sure, yes, I am. Can I see the comments? No. So hold on a second while I just do this and play and kill the volume because I don't need to hear myself on playback. And here we are. So I see the comments now. Wonderful. Welcome everyone. I see Lynn, I see Carla and Tracy Clark and Ali on Facebook. Lots and lots of people already joining, which is brilliant. And I still can't work out. On Instagram, I've got tons of light and I have my ring light, you know, the usual. I thought I'd forgotten my glasses, but I haven't. And on Facebook, it's just awfully dark. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, how have you been? How has your week been? I hope everyone's well. Had quite a quiet week. Well, not really a quiet week, but I've been back in edits for my 6th book, which will publish next year. I was going to say next week. No, that would be wrong. That would be a miracle. So I'm back in those, which is always fun because I get the edits back, structural edits we call them, the first round, the big edits from my editor. So I'm now back into book 6 for next year, which is really, really fun. Always good to have a bit of distance from your manuscript and characters so you can go back and tear things apart and rebuild them a little bit. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to? Anyone got their vaccine? We're desperately waiting for ours here. I think from the timeline we're looking at, it's going to be probably July, August. I hope it'll be earlier, but I really don't know. But anyway, that's where we are. So tell me in the comments how you're doing. So now we've got some people joining. My name is Hannah Mary McKinnon, and along with fellow author in fictional crime, my partner in fictional crime, Hank Philippi Ryan, this is First Chapter Fun, and we broadcast twice a week, every Tuesday and every Thursday, both on Instagram on my phone here at First Chapter Fun and on Facebook on my webcam, because we're that tech savvy that we broadcast on 2 platforms with 2 devices at the same time, which is always interesting and never a dull moment. So if this is the first time you are watching an episode of First Chapter Fun, well, this is episode number 142. Yes, that's right, 142. And it started a year ago. Tomorrow will be the exact 1-year anniversary. March 17th, 2020. I started First Chapter Fun on a bit of a whim, thinking, how can we help support authors? How can we get through this pandemic? This was back, we were talking about this yesterday, Hank and I. This was back when there were so many uncertainties and everything was going into lockdown, and it was a distraction for me to start First Chapter Fun because it gave me something else to focus on, selfishly. But at the same time, we had books coming out and didn't really know how that was going to work. What was that going to look like? What was going to happen? And so First Chapter Fun was created. Semi-jokingly throwaway comment turned into this brilliant group that we now broadcast in twice a week. So tomorrow, our 1st year anniversary. This is really, really important. So our 1st year anniversary tomorrow on First Chapter Fun. Normally we broadcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but tomorrow we have special events going on. So first of all, this is on Facebook because it's impossible to do on Instagram. But on Facebook, we will have multiple giveaways from tons of different authors throughout the day. So what will happen is they will come onto the First Chapter Fun Facebook group. If you're not a member, looking at you, Instagram, people watching this on Instagram, if you're not a member yet, then make sure you become one tout de suite, because tomorrow, as of, well, midnight, I guess, there will be posts from multiple, and I mean dozens of authors with giveaways. So we've invited them to come and do a giveaway. We invited all of the authors for whom we read during this past year to give something away. Could be a book, could be something else, could be swag. You'll have to find out. We don't even know, Hank and I, what the giveaways will be. So make sure that you come to the Facebook group, and probably multiple times a day, because all you'll have to do is leave a comment on the posts and you will be in for a chance to win. Brackets, not affiliated with Facebook. So that is tomorrow throughout the day. Also tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Hank and I are going to have another one of our chats, and that will be broadcast on Instagram, because we'll go live via StreamYard on Facebook and then via my phone on Instagram. Like I said, never a dull moment, providing technology works, which it generally does, but now I've jinxed it. So that is what's going to happen tomorrow. A huge bumper day of giveaways all day in the Facebook group and a Facebook and Instagram chat live tomorrow at 7 p.m. with Hank and myself. So that's what's going on. So thank you to all of you, to everybody who watches First Chapter Fun, to everyone who has told friends about it, invited people to the group, shared stuff on Instagram. We wouldn't be doing this, Hank and I, without people watching, and we certainly wouldn't be doing this without the authors and their publishers, who so generously allow us to read from their novels twice a week. If the authors said no, or if the publishers said no, then we wouldn't be doing this. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to today's author, and I'm really, really excited. I love this book, I love the cover, and I love the author equally. This is Accidentally Engaged by Farah Heron. Now, this is not Farah's first time on First Chapter Fun. No, no, no. She was one of my guinea pigs back when it launched. Her episode, her novel, The Chai Factor, was featured in episode 12. Now, this is episode 142, so it was episode 12. Can you believe it? Episode 12. We were just all babies back then. And that was on March 28th last year, so not quite a year ago. And that was a really fun read. You will find that in our IGTV. And you will find it in Facebook. I've actually put it in the comments on the Facebook post for this video. But that reminds me that any of the videos, any of the broadcasts that you may have missed, we always save them to IGTV, and we always save them to Facebook. So in Facebook, you'll find them under Media Videos. You'll see them there. And on Instagram, you'll find them on our IGTV. So you'll see the graphics have changed too, because a lot of stuff has changed since I started broadcasting, but you will find Farah's first book, The Chai Factor, March 28th last year. But today, it is Accidentally Engaged. And this book has been getting a ton of buzz for great reasons. So let me tell you a little bit about Farah, fellow Canadian author here. And I think, Farah, the last time we saw each other, I'm going to take these off because everything's blurry. The last time we saw each other was when we had an author dinner back in January 2020, before the whole world just kind of went to pot, as we say. I think that was the last time we saw each other, and we live, 40 kilometers distance from, or 35 or whatever. It's ridiculous. Soon we shall have dinner. And I see that Farah is here. She says she's so excited to be here again. Robin says, I adore the cover. Reena says, we look forward every Tuesday and Thursday to these chats. Yes, so do we. That's for sure. And Jen says, I love Hank and Hannah and First Chapter Fun. And of course, the ado. Yes, the ado was a little bit longer than planned today, simply because I have so much to tell you about tomorrow, about the giveaway and the chat and stuff. So make sure you join us tomorrow. So Jacqueline says no scary shadows in the window. No, I had a money tree which behind me, which kind of looked like a marijuana plant. I think sometimes people probably walked past the house and thought, are they growing dope? No, it was a money tree, and I am not superstitious, but getting rid of a money tree just seems like asking for trouble. So it was bugging me behind me. So I've put it in the dining room. We'll see what happens. Maybe someone else will chuck it out. I don't know. But anyway, enough of the ado. Let me tell you about Farah. And of course, you can leave Farah questions and comments because she's watching. Please ask her about her novels. Ask her about how she writes and what she writes and the ideas she comes up with. And you'll see there's baking in this. How much baking does she do? Is this something she discovered during COVID or something she discovered before? What's her favourite recipe? Ask away. And in the meantime, I will introduce you to Farah. So here we go. After a childhood raised on Bollywood, Monty Python and Jane Austen, Farah Heron wove complicated story arcs and uplifting happily ever afters in her daydreams while pursuing careers in human resources and psychology. She started writing those stories down a few years ago and never looked back. She writes romantic comedies and women's fiction full of huge South Asian families, delectable food, and, most importantly, brown people falling stupidly in love. She lives in Toronto with her husband, 2 children, and a rabbit named Strawberry. She recently adopted 2 cats who are now in charge. I think that must be fairly recent because I remember last year we had Strawberry the rabbit, and now we have 2 cats. So we need to know the names of your cats, Farah. Obviously, is it Raspberry and Mango, maybe, or something like that? Tell us. We need to know. So that is a Farah. And Hank says, how many of you have baked bread? I have. Multiple times. I have a great no-knead recipe, which is brilliant, Mark Bittman. But anyway, I digress. Accidentally Engaged. Brilliant book. Tons of humour. And this is right up my alley. So even though I write crime, let me read you. I missed this bit. Farah's debut, The Chai Factor, brackets episode 12 on First Chapter Fun, March 28th last year. Go find it in our IGTV and in our video archive. Was named one of the summer's best books by the Globe and Mail and has been praised in Book Riot, Smart Bitches, Trashy Books, Bustle and more. Her latest release, Accidentally Engaged, which I am reading from today, published on March 2nd. So you can get your hands on it, brackets not right now, but once we're done with the reading. And it was published by Forever Grand Central Publishing. Her YA debut, Tahira in Bloom, will be out in late 2021 by Skyscrape Publishing. So that's another question we need to know. We have romance, we have YA. Is the YA also a bit of romance, or is it crimey? Tell us, Farah. We want to know. Dish. See what I did there with the food? We need to know all the details, please, Farah, about the YA as well. And so, let me now read you the back cover copy of Accidentally Engaged. When it comes to bread, Reena Manji knows exactly what she's doing. She treats her sourdough starters like somewhat unruly children. But when it comes to Reena's actual family and their constant meddling in her life, well, that recipe always ends in disaster. Now Reena's parents have found her yet another potential good Muslim husband. This one has the body of Captain America, a delicious British accent, and lives right across the hall. He's the perfect mouth-watering temptation and completely ruined by the unwelcome side dish of parental interference. Reena refuses to marry anyone who works for her father. She won't be attracted to Nadim's sweet charm or gorgeous lopsided smile. That is, until the baking opportunity of a lifetime presents itself, a couple's cooking competition with the prize of her dreams. Reena will do anything to win, even asking Nadim to pretend they're engaged. But when it comes to love, baking your bread doesn't always mean you get to eat it too. Doesn't that sound like fun? So much fun, so much fun, so hilarious. And you will find Farah on Facebook, her author Facebook page, Farah-Heron-Author, Instagram, Farah Heron Author, without the dashes, Twitter, Farah Heron, and author website is farahheron.com. Dead easy. So go follow her, not right now, but afterwards, follow her, check out her books. And now, let me show you the cover again. Here we go, accidentally. It's such a lovely cover. I remember seeing that when you posted it, Farah, and just thinking, oh, that is just so, it's just so warm and inviting and fun. It just looks like fun, a fun read, which, as you will be able to tell from this first chapter, it really is fun. And Rose says, oh, the comment almost disappeared. My favourite genre is thriller, but a romance is perfect now and then. It lightens the mood and brings happiness. I was just thinking that before I read you the first chapter. Let me tell this story. I'm reading The Shadow Man by Helen Fields, and it is creepy. It really is. It's creepy. There's stuff that goes on that's creepy. And I woke up last night and the door to the walk-in wardrobe was completely open, and I always shut it because I hate it being open because you just see this black doorway and it's dark and nasty. And I woke up probably about 5 times and kept sitting up to see if the door had closed magically by itself. Why didn't I just get up and close it? I don't know. I was lazy. But anyway, yes, I agree. I think tonight I'll read something light and fun like this one, Accidentally Engaged. And now I'm really going to read you the first chapter because there's been a lot of ado. I apologise. Oh, we don't want my Kleenex there, do we? No, we don't. Okay. So this is Accidentally Engaged by Farah Heron. Chapter 1. For most urban dwellers, Sundays were a day of rest and relaxation. Not for Reena Manji. For her, Sundays required vigilance and a thick skin. She had long ago learned that the only way to survive the so-called fun day was to erect a proverbial steel wall around herself. But today's wall hadn't prevented her deep sense of disappointment when she woke up to see Brian's betrayal. She approached him slowly in the kitchen. 3 days of headway meant nothing. Today, Brian the Rye, her temperamental sourdough starter, hadn't risen at all. Her shoulders fell. Seriously, Brian? Her first mistake had been naming the starter after a man. After a dozen failed relationships, Reena felt confident that she knew next to nothing about the male segment of the species, except my printer just went off and I didn't print anything. That's weird, talking about scary books. Hold on. Can you hear that? You probably can, can't you? That's really weird. My goodness, it's probably one of my boys. Yes, here we are. I'm so sorry. Hello, son. This is the difficulty of doing stuff live. Ha ha ha. How many pages?
I don't know how many printed.
There we go. I need about half an hour. Thank you, love.
There's one more.
Okay, well, that's all I've got, so you're going to have to wait.
There's one more coming.
Anyway, okay. Where were we? Shall I start? I think I should start again. Chapter 1. For most urban dwellers, Sundays were a day of rest and relaxation. Not for Reena Manji. For her, Sundays required vigilance and a thick skin. She had long ago learned that the only way to survive the so-called fun day was to erect a proverbial steel wall around herself. But today's wall hadn't prevented her deep sense of disappointment when she woke up to see Brian's betrayal. She approached him slowly in her kitchen. 3 days of headway meant nothing. Today, Brian the Rye, her temperamental sourdough starter, hadn't risen at all. Her shoulders fell. Seriously, Bri? Her first mistake had been naming the starter after a man. After a dozen failed relationships, Reena felt confident that she knew next to nothing about the male segment of the species, except maybe that they often needed some tender coaxing to get them to behave. But she didn't have the time or energy to coddle Brian through his histrionics now. So she parked him in the fridge, dressed quickly, and downed a cup of cold brew coffee. Sunday brunch with her family was non-negotiable and would start in less than half an hour. A slight hangover from last night's nachos and rosé wine upstairs had Reena hitting snooze on her alarm one too many times, and she was now dangerously close to being late. As she dropped her keys into her purse, ready to head out, she noticed an unfamiliar man lugging a bike backward up the exterior stairs to her building, while struggling with a six-pack of what looked to be imported beer. Her head tilted as the mystery man reached the top of the stairs and attempted to wedge the bike on the narrow porch before opening the door into the building. He wore shiny black athletic shorts and a grey muscle shirt, no dreaded lycra, which told Reena either he didn't take riding too seriously or had enough fashion sense to avoid these sorts of monstrosities. As he bent to put the beer on the porch, she was treated to a peek of toned thighs and, yum, a spectacular arse. Ripped arm muscles flexed as he lifted the bike to rest it on the railing around the porch. A brown Captain America. Nice. She stepped closer to the door, outwardly to help the man, but really to get a better look. Plus, Reena had questions. How did he ride a bike while holding a six-pack? Did he really live here, or, perish the thought, was he just visiting someone? And most importantly, did his front come anywhere close to matching that fine back view? Reena pushed the door open for him and finally got a glimpse of his face. Smallish eyes, thick brows, and dark floppy hair, plus a meticulously trimmed douche beard a touch too trendy for her tastes. What a shame. He did have that nice sweaty man smell, though. God, it had been too long. "Thank you," he said as he passed through the door into the tiny hallway, leaving his bike outside. "I'm not sure I would have managed that on my own." Mystery Man had a British accent and a deep, almost aristocratic voice. Totally unexpected. He put the case of beer down in front of the door across from hers and took a key out of his pocket before turning to Reena. He stared wide-eyed for several seconds before speaking. "Oh, shit, it's you. You're my neighbour. You live here?" he said, pointing toward her door. "Yes. Why?" "You're the one." Dark brows raised as his mouth widened to a grin. "The goddess who makes my apartment smell like a bloody French boulangerie." Reena's eyes widened. Goddess? She'd been called elfish, pixie, and even a sprite once by a Renaissance fair type boyfriend, but Reena Manji was never a goddess. "It's driving me fucking mad," Sexy Voice continued, tilting his head and winking. Kind of flirty, this one. Reena reassessed her first impression of his face. When he was smiling, his dark eyes sparkled under the fluorescent lights of the narrow hallway, and his lips looked wide and expressive. And that voice, kind of swoony. Couple that with the impressive physique, and Reena started to think today looked better. Nothing like a little British Isles to spice up this building. Some fun, flirty banter with a sexy Brit to boost her self-esteem each day. Plus, he liked the smell of her bread. Double swoon. And she glanced at his hand resting casually on the doorknob. He appeared single. No ring. "Thank you," Reena beamed. "Baking bread is my new hobby. I'll bring you some one day. I have to head out now, but nice meeting you, neighbour." "Pleasure's all mine." That charming smile again, white straight teeth, and a dimple on his left cheek. Mr. Uninspiring quickly advanced to Mr. Pretty Damn Hot. He should never stop talking with that voice, or smiling with those teeth. Thankfully, he hadn't yet. "I'd love to take you out for a pint if you'll share any extra baked goods lying around. Are you free tonight? I'm Nadim." He held out his right hand to shake. Ooh, did he just ask her out? "I'm Reena." She shook his hand, taking note of his firm, confident grip. Nothing worse than a weak handshake. A moment into their handshake, however, Nadim's face fell. His smile dissolved and furrowed lines appeared on his forehead. What the hell? Eyeing her intently, he snatched back his hands and ran it through his sweaty hair. "Bollocks," he whispered. "You're Reena Manji." She spoke slowly. "Yes." "Aziz Manji's daughter?" "Obviously." "Yes. Why?" "Fuck. You live here?" He tugged at the back of his neck. Finally meeting her eyes again, he smiled sheepishly. I've made a terrible first impression. Any chance we could start over?" Her eyes widened. "Forget all my swearing and pretend I'm showered and dressed respectably. I had the suit picked out for our first meeting," he continued, "and my hair was supposed to be clean. Also, you did not see that beer. And I didn't call you a goddess, although I meant it." His voice trailed off, losing power as he seemed to shrink into the hallway. "Why? How do you know my father?" He smiled again, but this time the smile looked forced. It didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'm here in Canada to work for him." He sighed. "Your father and my father just entered a business partnership together, and apparently you and I are to be married." He shrugged, one side of his lip raising slightly. "Surprise?" And that was the first chapter, and the first bit of the first chapter twice, of Accidentally Engaged by Farah Heron. You could just tell this is going to be so absolutely brilliant, can't you? And it is. So it's just such a fun read, and you can get your hands on it, not right now, but once I'm done with the broadcast, you can get your hands on this book. And let me tell you, it's just so much fun. Farah she just has this knack for comedy, and her writing is just flawless. It's just absolutely brilliant. Jen says, "Don't stop there." Diane says, "You're stopping there." Yeah, because that's the end of the first chapter. See? I can't read the whole book, but you can get the whole book and find out what happens now. And Margaret says, "I'm reading it now and loving it." I'm not going to read that live, Robin, what you just said. Jen says, "I like the floppy hair." And Hank says, "Love this. Best episode ever, the printer episode." Yes, if this was an episode of Friends, it would be the one with the printer, wouldn't it? That has never happened before. In 142 episodes, my printer going off and my kid coming in to get his work has never happened before. We've had the doorbell going, the phone ringing, but we've had Jonathan walk in behind Hank, but we've not had the printer, and that kind of freaked me out, actually, the printer mysteriously going. So dumb. Can you tell this is amateur hour? All right, Accidentally Engaged. Let me show you that lovely cover again, because you need it in all its glory. Make sure you can see that. Put this one on your books. Put this book on your list right now, because your 2021 reading list needs it. Susan says, "I'm a tease." Yep. Janice says, "Nice job, Nadine. Seems dreamy." I agree. I love the description. I laughed because Hank and I always prepare before we read. Of course, we never read this stuff cold. And I was just laughing. I was just really looking forward to reading this one live. And Carrie says, "Oh, I love a good rom-com." And Reena says, "Sounds delightful." And I think, Reena, you should definitely read this one, particularly as the heroine has your name. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, printer episode and all. And let me tell you a little bit of a shift in tone. We have another book. This is also Jessica Strauss's second time on First Chapter Fun since last year. We have A Million Reasons Why. This is her newest book that we will be reading from on Thursday, and I'm very excited for this one too. I'm always excited for First Chapter Fun. Are you kidding me? We get to discover new books and we get to read them live to you and tell you all about the authors and their work. What is not to love? And there's always some comedy element with stuff happening, things going wrong, as you saw today. So let me remind you, because we've just made our half an hour. Let me remind you about the festivities tomorrow for our First Chapter Fun 1 year anniversary. We have the big, gigantic giveaway going on all day on the Facebook group. So Hank and I won't be live all day because that would be nuts. But there will be posts from dozens of authors every day. So make sure you come to the First Chapter Fun Facebook group multiple times tomorrow for a chance to win some stuff. And then tomorrow evening, Wednesday still at 7 p.m, Hank and I will be having another one of our live chats together, both on Facebook and Instagram. We will broadcast on both. So I hope you'll join us for both of that tomorrow. And on Thursday as well, we'll be reading from Jessica's book. So again, let me show you the covers. Accidentally Engaged, today's brilliant fun read by Farah Heron. Thank you, Farah, for letting us read for you today. And on Thursday, we have A Million Reasons Why by Jessica Strauss. And A Million Reasons Why you should watch First Chapter Fun. Well, here's one of them. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope we will see you tomorrow and on Thursday. And until then, as always, you know by now what we say. We say, stay safe, stay kind, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for watching.